So guys, before this video starts, I'd just like to say that I'm sorry that this is a post commentary and not a live commentary. The reason why it's a post commentary, not a live commentary, is basically it's the same thing that happened a couple of weeks ago when I was recording audio, and this has actually happened a few times, which is really annoying because the audio software I'm using to record, which is Osen Audio, isn't great, and Audacity is way better, but I'm not sure what's happened to my Mac. It literally is just not letting me do anything with Audacity. As in, like, it just says Audacity is running, even though I don't have Audacity installed on my system. So when I try reinstall it, it says Audacity is already running, and there's nothing I can do to stop it, unfortunately. But basically, this is what happened to the sound.
What is going on, guys? DBG here, and in this video, we have got a gameplay with the 5 million MT squad.
And even when I managed to fix the pitch and get it so that it sounded somewhat like me, there was a load of like crackling in the sound, and I just couldn't use it. It sounded like this, and that was just unusable. I'm not exactly sure if it is the most expensive, but I was checking through prices today, and it's close to being the most expensive squad that you can put together without signature limited players. But anyway, yeah, this is the squad that we put together. So first of all, I decided to use Chris Paul, and then obviously you guys, I'm not going to add the total price of Chris Paul on top of any of the 20th anniversary cards that are in this team, because we did actually run some of them. So I just decided to add the price of Chris Paul without the cards, and I did end up running only 2. So I ended up running only 2 of the 20th anniversary set, and those 2 cards were at point guard, the guy who I'm running at starting at the 1, Michael Jordan, and then someone who I played at the end of the bench here, but I actually ended up running as my backup power forward, Giannis. So Michael Jordan is around 500 KMT, and Giannis is around 500 KMT. They're both around the same price. Surprisingly enough, they're both going up in price, which is a little bit crazy because they're both great, but not in the best 2 or 3 cards in the game, I don't think. But yeah, so the rest of the cards in the Chris Paul collection cost about 350 to 400k. So I'm just going to say 1.35 million between the 3 of these cards. And yeah, that's well, not a massive chunk, but a fairly big chunk of the 500 or so K. So not 500 or so K, to 5 million that this team costs. And at the 2, we got Kobe Bryant, who's about 450k. I did not expect him to be that expensive. At the 3, for around the same price, is Granger. Granger just gone up and up, and if 2K decide to put a stop to base 11 players, Granger could end up just going up and up for the rest of this year. Kevin Durant is about 350k, nowhere near as good as the other 2, barely better than the Diamond in my opinion, and one of the worst value cards in the game. Although it is not, like, it's not a bad card, it's just like kind of outclassed. And the 5 is a card that I don't think is very good, and Shaq. Like, Shaq is without doubt one of the most overrated centers in the game. He's like a worse version of Ralph Sampson, but yet he's like 350k. You know exactly why he's 350k, and it's because he's part of the collection, and because he's one of the players that can be used to get the Galaxy Opal Blake Griffin, who, well, in about 4 weeks we should be getting that card, which is good. We should be able to get that card by the end of March, which could be really nice. And he's honestly just the worst version of Ralph Sampson. There's nothing really he does except run a little bit better than Sampson. Off the bench at the 1, we are using a Diamond 2 guard, who's actually one of the best players in this squad, but he's also like 350k T-Mac. At the 2 we're running with, we decided not to use Klay Thompson. We were originally going to use him, but he's about 250k. I wish I had enough money for his, or MT for his pink diamond. His pink diamond is like 1.2 million right now on PC. At the 3 we got Dominique, who's about 350k, and Dominique's a beast. One of the best cards in the game, period. That card is super OP in this game. On the 5, AD, who's about 350 to 400k. Could be 450k with a diamond shoe, but unfortunately I don't have one on him. But AD is still one of the best cards in the game. One of the best 4s, 5s in the game. A great post player who can shoot the ball. And last year, ending at the bench, first of all, we are going to put in Dwyane Wade. Dwyane Wade's about 250k. A little bit expensive for how good he is, but not a bad card. And then Paul George is about 350k. I completely forgot about him making this squad until this stage. So we end up running Paul George at the 3, Dominique at the 2, and we do play Giannis at the backup 4. So yeah, like this Paul George, honestly, I would advise you guys to pick up one of the Diamond Paul Georges. Yes, the pink diamond's better. I'm not going to argue that. The pink diamond is better than all of the diamonds. But I don't think it's enough better than the middle Diamond Paul George that it's worth the like 200k difference. And I'm assuming I haven't checked, but I'm assuming one of the Diamond Paul Georges has to be at least a buy now. And it's with the way Paul George is playing, it's inevitable we are going to get a pink diamond Paul George at some stage this year. Or another one. So anyway, that is the team. This is the 5 million MT squad. Now let's get on to the game. So we end up facing a team that isn't really a god squad, but it's a good enough squad that you can't really take for granted, because if you do, there's a good chance you could lose. But we start off the game actually quite well. Nice block by Granger, nice dunk from Shaq. And then Granger comes right down, hits a shot to give us a 4-0 lead. We play a really good defensive possession here, and then I was thinking, okay, I'm in control of this game. But then this was the downfall. We go from being 4-0 up, and then all of a sudden it was a mixture of me just taking bad shots and some shots just not going in. Like this shot here should have went in, the other ones are bad shots, but like a lot of it was, if it was just blame on me, it was one of the worst games of 2K I've ever played. I felt like I was just playing really badly. My opponent didn't do anything exceptional. It was just a lot of my own mistakes. And luckily enough, in times like this, because there are going to be times for everyone that you do have bad games at 2K, there's going to be times where you're not hitting shots, where you just feel like you can't get shots open. And if there is times like this in games and you guys can keep the game close, you always have a chance. You always have a chance as long as the game's close, especially if you do have the better team. Because that's where one of the advantages of having a better team, they can kind of bail you out if you're playing badly. Sometimes, which is obviously a big advantage for using God squads. But like, we were still in this game in this first quarter. The bench was doing a little bit better than starters had done, but like again, like things like that, it was just terrible play by me. Luckily enough, our defense was really good in the first quarter, but then the second quarter was just more the same. We just played no offense, and unlike in the first quarter, this guy was actually punishing us. In the first quarter, he wasn't. This quarter, he was, and suddenly we're down 10 points. And this was a big time in the game where he could have really pulled away and this game was over. And guys like Kobe Bryant stepped up big time. MJ did quite well, and yeah, those two guys really carried us through a bad time in the game. And it was actually when I went with a weird lineup. I went with Kevin Durant at center, and I went with Kobe Bryant at the 4. And we actually, even though we were giving up a lot on defense, we were giving up a lot on defense with Shaq in the game, but at least with this lineup, we were scoring on offense. And again, a bad release by Kobe. But to be fair, the bench did really bail us out here, especially Dominique. The second quarter was all Dominique. Dominique hits a long 2, goes and gets the assist to Paul George there. And then suddenly we're back to a 3-point game. They get a score into AD. Right back out to T-Mac. And we still have a little bit of time left in this quarter. We were trying to go 2 for 1. I felt we were a little bit late, but we got a really lucky dunk there with Giannis. And then this was a big 16 seconds or so, because this was where the whole game changed. They go and miss a 3-pointer. I put gold, deep range Jedi, and limitless on Dominique. He used all them badges to his advantage right there by hitting the 3-pointer to give us the lead. And then with 6 seconds to go, they dribble the ball into Anthony Davis. We got a lucky bump steal, and AD gets the dunk to put us up 2 at halftime. We get the first score of the third quarter, and then we end up building up a 6-point lead. I felt like I was in control, but then they just came down and would hit a 3. But luckily, like, this is again a time where they could have regained control, regained momentum. But every single time they hit a 3 to bring it back to 1, we either hit a 3 or got a 3-point play. Danny Granger coming up huge right there with an and 1 dunk. And then the next play after they go and hit another 3, Danny Granger greens a 3-pointer to give us a 4-point lead again. We're only up 4 in the fourth quarter. Kevin Durant hits a big contested 3 there. And then this is the beginning of the end for this guy. 5-point game. We put on our bench, who have 100 stamina at this stage. 3:30 to go. We have an 8-point lead. We feel like I felt like I was controlling this game anyway at this stage. And then it just became just an annihilation. This guy went into panic mode. As soon as he went down 8 points, he went into full-on panic mode because of how close this game was. And I had takeover with T-Mac, slasher, shock rating takeover. No way was he going to be stopped at this stage. 11-point game, T-Mac pulls up, green. And these next couple of possessions just sum up the game. Like, they couldn't get the ball past the halfway line. Well, straight to T-Mac, straight into Anthony Davis, dunk. And, like, they were struggling to even inbound the ball. They get it in, they throw straight into Giannis' hands, who finds Anthony Davis for a wide open 3. And just like that, from 11 points, from 8 to 19 in about a minute and a half. T-Mac fadeaway 3 just summed the whole thing up. And Paul George hits a 3 there to make it a 25-point game. We win the game by 21 in the end, very comfortably, but it was a lot closer than the scoreline would suggest. So in the end, T-Mac didn't miss on a 20. Dominique had 11. Anthony Davis had 11. Our bench was plus 32. And our starters are minus 8. Granger, I thought had a good enough game. 3 of 4 from the field, hit some big shots. I just felt like my starters did struggle a little bit. Shaq had 8 points. Shaq actually didn't do too badly. It was Kevin Durant who really struggled. I'm not a fan of this Kevin Durant pink diamond card, to be honest. I really am not a fan of it. I don't know why, because I love this diamond. Kobe did okay, Jordan did okay on the box score anyway. And to be fair, like, they didn't shoot well, but they did hit some big baskets in the second quarter, especially. In the third quarter, especially. Giannis was okay, Klay was okay, but didn't really play much. But yeah, this is the team. This is the 5 million MT squad. By no means is this the best team you can buy in my team, because it's not. There are a lot cheaper players that are better than a lot of these guys. And there are also guys that, like Pink Diamond J.R. Smith, that belongs in every God squad. Unfortunately, I don't have him, but he belongs in God squads if you do have him. And then obviously Andre Kirilenko with base 11. His defense stats belongs in God squads. Magic Johnson, Brandon Roy. But unfortunately, they're a little bit cheap. They're a little bit cheap to be used in a squad making up 5 million MT. But if I was to make the best squad you could buy, without doubt, there would be some of these cards that are some cheaper cards in it, whereas some of these more expensive cards obviously wouldn't be in the team. Like, I wouldn't have Wade in the team, I wouldn't have CP3 in it, I probably wouldn't have Shaq in it, and maybe not Kevin Durant. The rest of them, I'd say, yeah, maybe to be in the squad. So anyway, that's the video. Thank you guys for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe.